My boyfriend and I accidentally ended up staying at a secluded hotel. But in the middle of the night, the owner called the police, claiming we had checked in without permission. So, who on earth helped us check into the hotel? It was our anniversary weekend, and my boyfriend and I had taken some time off work to go on a trip and unwind. Before we left, we decided to spend most of our money on fun activities and food, while saving on accommodations by booking budget hotels. Just a place to sleep would do. My boyfriend had already booked our flight to the destination, which would get us there by the afternoon, just in time to head straight to the hotel for some rest. That way, we would have more energy to explore the next day. Since it was a rare chance to go on a trip, we wanted to make the most of it. By the time we arrived at our destination, it was already 8 p.m. My boyfriend started searching for nearby hotels, but most were pretty expensive. He then suggested, "Why don't we stay in the outskirts? The hotels there would be much cheaper." Finally, we found a small inn far from the city center. The sign was black and the lighting was dim, but we were both exhausted from the flight, the car ride, and walking around, so we decided to rest there for the night. Plus, the price was indeed cheap, and it wasn't too far from the attractions we wanted to visit. When we entered, we saw a young girl sitting at the front desk, seemingly in charge of check-ins. I approached her and greeted her, saying, "Hi, could you help us check in, please?" Strangely, she didn't seem to hear me and kept busy, typing away on her computer. I thought to him, "There aren't many people here. What's she so busy with, and why is she ignoring me?" I spoke to her several times, but it was as if he couldn't hear me at all. Getting a bit frustrated, I knocked on the counter and asked, "Why are you ignoring me? We need to check in." Finally, she looked up and apologized, saying, "Sorry, I was just really busy." Since we were on vacation, I decided to let it go and not argue. After about 15 minutes, we finally completed the check-in process. While I was handing the paperwork, my boyfriend wandered around the hallway and told me, "I feel a chill as soon as I walked into this hotel. It's stranger because the weather is still quite warm. Should we find another place?" I replied, "Let's just stay for the night. It's not worth the hassle." The girl at the front desk handed us the room key after that. Our room was on the third floor. When we opened the door, we were shocked. We had booked a small room, but the room we walked into was massive, like a presidential suite, complete with multiple rooms and even a bathtub. I decided to go downstairs to ask about it. As soon as I stepped into the elevator, I felt a sudden chill run through me. It was just me in the elevator. But I felt uneasy. When I reached the front desk, I asked the girl if there had been a mistake with our room. Again, she ignored me, and it took several tries before she finally answered, "No, there's no mistake. I upgraded you to a bigger suit since you mentioned feeling cold earlier." I thought to myself, what a lucky break, and called my boyfriend to share the good news. We were both pretty excited. Then, out of nowhere, the girl said, "This room hasn't been occupied for a long time. I hope you will be comfortable." She spoke slowly and in a soft voice. I reassured her, saying, "No worries, thank you so much for the upgrade." Back in the room, I noticed the musty smell but didn't think much of it. The room was spacious and comfortable, so we decided to get some rest. After settling in, we started feeling a bit hungry and thought about ordering some instant noodles from the front desk. We tried calling, but no one answered, even after 10 minutes of ringing. My boyfriend decided to go downstairs to check. When he got to the lobby, he found it empty and really cold. So he returned. We were left with no choice but to go to bed hungry. Just as we were about to fall asleep, we heard a child crying upstairs, followed by bursts of laughter. We were both exhausted, but the noise was too much to ignore. My boyfriend tried calling the front desk to complain, but again, no one answered. I eventually drifted off to sleep, only to have a strange dream where I was walking by a river, soaked to the bone and feeling utterly uncomfortable. In the dream, I vaguely saw a woman with two little boys and a man nearby. They kept getting closer, but I couldn't make out their face. I woke up suddenly, realizing my boyfriend wasn't next to me. I called out for him, and he came out of the bathroom, saying he couldn't sleep because of the noise. It wasn't clear if it was children crying or a couple arguing, but the sound seemed so close, almost as if it were coming from our room instead of upstairs. His words spooked me, so I turned on all the lights in the room. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. We both jumped, think it might be a staff member responding to the calls we made earlier. My boyfriend went to the door, and as soon as he did, a gust of cold air rushed in, making us both shiver. I went to the bathroom, and when I came out, my boyfriend told me that a man from upstairs had come down to apologize. He said he had been arguing with his wife, which scared the kids, making them cry. He didn't want to disturb us, so he came to apologize. I thought that was pretty polite of him and asked what the man looked like. My boyfriend described him as a tall man with gold-rimmed glasses, looking quite refined, but his clothes were torn as if they'd been fitted. We didn't think much of it at the time, though I was really hungry by then. I asked my boyfriend to check if there was a vending machine in the lobby or where he would get us some instant noodles since my phone signal was weak in the room. He headed downstairs and called me a minute later, saying, "There is still no one at the front desk, but there's a vending machine in the lobby. I will get you a couple of noodles and bring it up." I was thrilled to finally have something to eat. A short while later, I hear the children running and laughing in the hallway. They even banged on our door as they passed by. I was really fed up at that point. It was the middle of the night, and all I wanted was some peace and quiet. I flung the door open, but there was no one in the hallway. Fear began to creep in. Just as I was about to shut the door, a hand stopped me. I turned around to see the same man from earlier. His face was dirty, covered in ash, with streaks of blood, and his t-shirt was tattered. Before I could process what was happening, he spoke. "I'm real sorry for disturbing you rest. I promise the kids won't be running around anymore." I replied, "It's fine, but it's quite late, and we need to get up earlier tomorrow to visit the sites." The man nodded rapidly, apologizing again. I asked him, "Are you here on a honeymoon too?" He answered, "Yes. My wife and I brought the kids along," and he spoke. He pulled out a photo of a family of 4 and said, "Look, we were here on vacation too." I thought it was just a friendly chat, but then he suddenly said, "But our happiness was short-lived." I was puzzled by what he meant. Just then, my boyfriend stepped out of the elevator, and when I turned back, the man had vanished. I was left wondering how he could disappear so quickly. My boyfriend came in with 2 couples of noodles, and I asked him if he felt something stranger. He said, "Yeah, the lobby is still empty, but when I was in the elevator, it was stuck on our floor for a while before it came down. I thought there were a lot of people, but when the doors opened, there was no one." I leaned back on the bed and told him, "That man you were talking to came down again, but he disappeared as soon as you got off the elevator. It's like he is living in that room with us." We both felt a wave of fear, but my boyfriend told me not to overthink it. We ate our noodles and tried to get some sleep. But soon, I found myself dreaming again. In my dream, I saw the woman in the photo, and she looked exactly like the girl at the front desk. There were also scenes of multiple cars crashing, accompanied by the sound of a chainsaw. I woke up in a panic and immediately woke up my boyfriend, asking him to turn on the lights. But none of the lights worked. He quickly tried calling the front desk. While I sat on the bed, feeling like I could see that family of four in the darkness. I couldn't help but scream. After a few moments, the light flickered back on, and we hurried to pack our things and leave. Suddenly, there was another knock at the door. We were both terrified and didn't dare open it. But the door opened. An elder lady arrived and, visibly upset, asked us, "How did you get in here? Who checked you in? Are you thieves?" I was taken aback and replied, "A young girl at the front desk checked us in. Otherwise, how would we have gotten the room key?" The lady was equally shocked and said, "We are just a small hotel with no staff. I'm the only one here, and I was sleeping at the front desk. Why didn't you call me?" But when we checked in, we didn't see her, and despite calling the front desk several times, no one answered. We ended up calling the police. When they checked the security footage, it shows us talking to thin air as we checked in, and even more disturbingly, it showed me standing at the room door talking to nothing, with the hallway lights flickering on and off. But I didn't see any of that at the time. Even the key card, I apparently took it myself from the front desk. In the end, we paid the elderly lady for the room because when we checked in, the card machine wasn't working, and the girl had told us we could pay when we checked out. We both felt something strange had happened. The next morning, we were having breakfast with the lady in the hotel lobby at around 6 a.m. She was friendly and chatted with us. She told us that she was closing the hotel in 2 days because she was getting too old to manage it alone. And with so few guests, it wasn't profitable anymore. I couldn't help but blurt out, "But I swear there was a young girl who checked us in. Round face, big eyes, blonde hair, wearing pearl earrings, with very fair skin." The lady's expression changed as she pulled out a photo and asked, "Could it be her?" I immediately recognized the girl and said, "Yes, that's her. Where is she now?" The lady turned pale and said, "That's impossible. Please don't scare me. I'm the only one managing that place. The girl in the photo, she and her husband, along with their 2 children, died in a car accident last week on their way back home." My boyfriend and I were terrified after hearing that and didn't dare say any other word. We quickly finished our breakfast and left the hotel. The rest of our trip was ruined, as I couldn't stop having nightmares every night. We ended up cutting our trip short and rushed home. Even now, I sometimes wake up in the middle of the night and see people standing by the bed. My mom has already called in some professionals to check things out.